Hollywood's most scandalous.
The following program describes cash rewards for the recovery of missing people and objects. These rewards are offered by private citizens and organizations, not the program producers or broadcaster. Each reward carries specific conditions which must be met before the reward can be collected. This program contains interviews with some of the actual people involved and uses recreations to dramatize the events.
On Easter Sunday, businessman Ernie Sturgis walked into his house and was shot. Was this a bungled burglary or a hit? There's a $15,000 reward for the arrest and conviction of his killer. A skeleton is found in Georgia, but the identity of the victim is still missing. There's a $2,500 reward offered to solve this murder. And thousands of original advertising artworks are missing. A private collector wants them all and has a $1 million offer to make. Rewards totaling more than $1 million are about to be offered on Missing Reward.
When police begin their investigation after a crime has been committed, a trail of clues and evidence usually leads to a solution. But when a Memphis businessman was murdered, it seemed that every piece of evidence simply raised more questions than it answered. In a moment, perhaps you'll have the clue that can sort out the tangle of evidence in the murder of Ernie Sturgis.
I'm Jim Martindale, here to tell you about the one and only garden weasel. This 5-in-1 tool makes gardening fun and easy. The 3 rotary action blades mesh with the topsoil, uprooting young weeds and creating a beneficial mulch. Remove the center blade for hard-to-reach areas. The weasel is virtually self-cleaning. There's only one garden weasel, and it's backed by a 100% lifetime guarantee.
The garden weasel is available at participating Kmart, True Value, Ace, Walgreens, V&S Variety, and HWI hardware stores. Makes a great gift.
I can't believe this report is due this afternoon. What is that?
Craft-free Italian.
You carry Italian dressing in your purse.
Hey, I love Italian.
Obviously.
You want some?
No, thank you. No, it's too much fat.
Oh, no, this is craft-free. See, fat-free, cholesterol-free.
This sounds great.
Just try it.
New from Kraft. Kraft-free Italian non-fat dressing. Fat-free, cholesterol-free, but feel free to love the taste.
Wonder if they make ranch. What? They do?
When Colleen Ford's busy, she wants to clean as fast as possible.
Hey, Liz, how's it going?
She uses liquid spick and span
Just the usual.
with a powerful
Yeah, that's right.
formula that dissolves tough dirt.
Yeah, he's coloring.
So powerful, she won't have to scrub all day.
Sounds just about perfect. See you later. 20 minutes. Bye-bye. Uh-oh, crayon.
Bye-bye, crayon.
So cleaning is fast and easy.
Out of here.
Get it spick and span fast with liquid spick and span.
If you're concerned about getting rid of weeds this way, try a better way. I'm Jim Martindale, here to introduce you to the Weed Popper. Place the Weed Popper next to a weed, step down, and the weed pops right out. The Weed Popper pulls weeds without kneeling, bending, and without chemicals that may be dangerous to our groundwater supply. The Weed Popper, with its 100% lifetime guarantee, pops weeds out as easy as 1, 2, 3.
The Weed Popper is available at participating Kmart, True Value, Ace, Coast to Coast, Trustworthy, and Century hardware stores. Makes a great gift for friends who garden.
Finding a new life after a middle-aged divorce is a difficult struggle. But Ernie Sturgis was beginning to enjoy his old friends again, and on Easter Sunday joined them for a festive dinner. It was the last time they ever saw him.
Ernie Sturgis was a self-made man, devoted father and grandfather. He came from a big family, had 3 children of his own, and recently was struggling with the painful separation from his wife. On March 26, 1989, friends invited Ernie over for Easter dinner.
No, Ern, you can't come in. You're overdressed.
Hey, you gotta be kidding.
You've got to take your coat and tie off and go around to the back door. We'll see you there. It was one of those things with Ernie. The gentleman came dressed as a gentleman, and we tried to get him to look the part like the rest of us.
Okay, boys, let's get busy.
Okay, Ern. We got to get the table set. You take the plates and I'll take the glasses. Okay. That was a fun evening. The part that Ernie and I had was to help a little bit get the table set right before dinner.
Oh, that's real good for me.
We're still on for Saturday, I hope.
Oh, we sure are.
Time spent with Ernie was always a happy time. Just a great guy to be with.
Appreciate y'all inviting me over.
At around 10:20, Ernie bid his friends good night.
Ernie, it was great to have you here.
Well, I'll see you on Saturday.
I'm looking forward to it.
Take good care.
Bye.
Be good.
Bye-bye.
I had him take a couple pictures of Ernie. He was in great spirits. And then we recognized that was the last we had seen Ernie.
On Monday, March 27th, 1989, Mr. Sturgis, who owns Tri-State Electric Company, did not show up for work. The employees became concerned, and they contacted his neighbor and asked if they would check on him. The neighbor went next door and did find the body of Mr. Sturgis lying in the kitchen area of his home. They contacted the uniform officers. Upon their arrival, they immediately called their supervisor, who in turn called Homicide Division. Homicide arrived at approximately 12:25 p.m. on that date. The medical examiners ruled his death a homicide due to a gunshot wound to the body. It was a small caliber gunshot wound.
When something like this happens, you go into immediate shock. And I guess it's typical. You don't believe it. It's sort of just a dream. This can't really be happening. My family's reaction to this was just utter disbelief. Things like this don't happen to families like ours. My dad lived in the suburbs, a real nice home, a nice neighborhood. He was very much into the grandchildren, and I think he felt really complete when we all started having our own families. And every time one of us had a new child, he would set up a college fund. So we were very much a typical family, American family, as it used to be defined, I suppose.
What exactly happened that Easter night is not fully known, but the Memphis police feel they have pieced together a possible scenario.
We feel like that Mr. Sturgis, when he drove up in the driveway, he parked the car on the far right side of the carport. As he entered the house, he had to observe that the door had been forced open. We feel like he went into the house, turning the lights on in each room as he went. He was approached by the burglar. A struggle occurred there. Mr. Sturgis was shot at that time. It is a burglary that went bad, is what it looked like to us at this time.
We got all the photographs.
Police discovered a number of items had been left behind by the perpetrator. For Ernie's family, this raises some troubling questions.
The items in the pillowcases were of very little value to anybody. Jewelry that was found was pretty much junk jewelry of no value either. So they totally missed the areas where the valuable things were, like the silverware, china, things of that nature that were in the dining room. They never even went in there.
Was this just a routine burglary gone bad? The case moved ahead when a witness stated that at 9 p.m. on the night of the murder, a blue Chevrolet pulled into Ernie Sturgis's driveway. After only a few moments, the car turned and left.
Another witness was located that was traveling through the neighborhood, who stated that they observed a General Motors vehicle fitting basically the same description as our first witness, leaving the driveway at approximately 10:30 p.m. that night.
If they were in there for an hour and a half, that is quite a long time to spend in a house. Since the house would have been easy to you would have gone through the house pretty quickly. Why they spent an hour and a half in the house is beyond me.
Why did it take so long to come up with such inconsequential items as junk jewelry, credit card receipts, and family photos? And why, on the night of the murder, was Ernie's car parked to the right of a darkened carport when his family says he always left the lights on and parked it in the center? Was he expecting someone? One person who can shed a little light on what Ernie's last days were like was David Mayo, a close friend and business partner.
Ernest was a very happy person, very enjoyable to work with, just a good guy to be with. Other than the week before his death, he was involved in a divorce proceeding, and he had become very despondent, very troubled by it. On the morning that I heard of his death, I guess my first thought was that perhaps he'd killed himself. Later, of course, we learned due to the circumstances and evidence he hadn't done that. And many other thoughts of what could have happened have gone through my mind.
The police have come up with a final piece of information concerning the car that was seen at the Sturgis home.
On March 26, 1989, which is the date of the homicide, auto theft did report a stolen 1978 Chevrolet Caprice blue four-door. This car has not been recovered, and it does fit the description of the vehicle that was seen by both of our witnesses. It was bearing license number Tennessee tags MTB 196 at the time that it was stolen.
Ernie Sturgis, a successful businessman and popular family man with no known enemies. Was he the victim of a random act of violence, caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, or was he deliberately set up as a target of murder?
I guess the realization that our father's no longer around has really come home at the holidays. I know when I look at my children playing and they ask about Grandpa, it hurts. It hurts real bad. If somebody does know something in regard to this homicide, the family would very much appreciate knowing what you know so that we can find out who committed this grievous act.
The friends and family of Ernie Sturgis continue in their efforts to find his killer and solve this unsettling crime. When we return, a skeleton found in Georgia has police baffled. Who was the victim? And a $1 million offer for original advertising art.
When arthritis specialists are concerned about aspirin irritation, this is the brand they recommend most. Not Bayer, Ecotrin, with the orange safety coat to help protect your stomach. The more aspirin you take, the more you need the right brand. That's Ecotrin, and that's the truth.
In Wyowega, Wisconsin, there is no morning rush hour, nor are there any traffic lights. But nonetheless, there is a very good reason to stop here. Because the people of Wyowega make a delicious cheese snack called Spreadery. Spreadery comes in 7 flavors, and it now comes in microwavable tubs, so it goes with just about everything. Spreadery cheese snack from Kraft. The good news from Wyowega is spreading fast.
After 7 days, the leading antiseptic couldn't heal this finger, but this one healed with #1 doctor-recommended Neosporin. Testing shows that Neosporin helps wounds heal faster. Neosporin, for faster healing, it's the one.
Sherry Hart thought she was just going for a cruise with some old hometown friends, but Richard Lynn Baer had a different idea. When Sherry rebuffed Baer's advances, police say he murdered her. Baer was last seen in Wilkes County, North Carolina. Get the clues to help find him. Watch America's Most Wanted Sunday.
So I told him to come on up.
Hear shocking, intriguing, true confessions. Call 1-900-246-1212.
I promised that I wouldn't tell a soul, but if you really want to know...
Dial 1-900-246-1212 for fascinating, even alarming innermost secrets.
I didn't think I'd have the nerve, but what could I say? I really like him.
That's 1-900-246-1212. $2 for the first minute, 95 cents for each additional minute, for adults only.
A new beginning.
I don't feel like a human woman, do I?
A tragic ending.
The Francisco family's been taken to intensive care.
Alien Nation, the season finale.
If you have information about any stories on Missing Reward, call 1-900-860-0860.
With most crimes, there is a victim's name, a place, a face to start from. But in the woods outside Bloomingdale, Georgia, investigators found only bones, and those accidentally.
A local utility worker had come out here to pick up a cat for his daughter. And as he entered the ramp to go back down on the I-16, the cat jumped out of his truck.
Come back here, cat.
And when he followed the cat down into the woods, he happened upon some skeletal remains. He was a little startled. He called the police, and I was the first one to respond. I responded alone because we weren't really sure at the time what we had. There was also some possibility of a jurisdictional discrepancy because it was right at a jurisdictional border. And so I went out there to see exactly whose it was, and it turned out to be ours. It's not something you want, particularly a case of this type. I mean, you have a body here that's fully decomposed. There was no real good evidence to speak of. All we've got is a body laying there, no clothing, no zippers, no snaps, no buttons, nothing. We began processing the crime scene, photographing the entire area so that the location of the bones were recorded. A search was done in the immediate areas, but nothing else was found. That's everything we got. The skeletal remains were shipped then to the pathologist for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation in the city of Atlanta.
First of all, we want to identify the person. Who is it? I start out with just the basics, an anthropological description, in other words, and that's age, race, sex, height. This is a white female. She looks to be in her early 20s. Her height is between 5 and 5'4". There was hair with her, and it was dark brown. She looks to have been there at least a year, but it could be longer. There were a number of things unusual about her. Some of them only her family would know, or only she would know. Of the identifying traits, first of all, one of her front teeth was chipped, and it was chipped in both corners, not just one. It had been that way for quite a long time. Another unusual characteristic is that she's missing premolars. That's a tooth right in this mid-slot and in this mid-slot over here. These are teeth that are sometimes removed for orthodontic purposes, or sometimes they're just missing. From thoroughly examining every bone and looking at the situation in which she was found, there was no evidence of the cause of death. There were no broken bones, no projectiles as from a gun, no marks that might have been left on bone from a knife. It appears that she was simply left there, already dead.
What we have here is the intersection of Bloomingdale Road and Interstate 16, a state highway and a 4-lane interstate. And we feel like they came here for the purpose of concealing the body. If it was at night, they could have very easily parked on the ramp and not been bothered. No one would have noticed. Then they carried the body down the slope here and around until they found a natural overhang just off of the slope here and just laid the body down. Right now, we feel like the body lay there from 2 to 5 years.
The only clue found with the body was a ring still on the finger of her left hand.
And so we carried it to some local jewelers. They confirmed that it was a custom-made ring made of rose gold from the Black Hills and bordered in white gold, soldered with yellow gold. And on the front of the ring, we have the initials KES inscribed in Old English script. And above the initials, we have a small diamond chip inset. Okay, and on the inside of the ring, we have a W with a dash on each side. And right above the W, we have a C with an 8 in the middle of it. And then above the C, we have a 10-carat denotation. The ring itself is a rather small ring, and it has been cut down from a larger ring. It has been sized down to about a 4.5, indicating that she was a very petite person.
Despite efforts to match up the description of young Jane Doe with reported missing persons, none of the leads have panned out. So law enforcement and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation went the next step. They created a bust built out of clay, right on top of the young woman's skull.
We take established tables, and these tables come from the medical community. In essence, these are landmarks indicating how much flesh we would expect to find on that individual at that point. On a national level, about 50% of facial reconstructions are identified. Very often it's a lengthy process because no matter how much there is a likeness on the facial reconstruction, it has to be, a person has to be exposed to who knows that individual.
The facial reconstruction was shown at a news conference in nearby Savannah, but no identification has been forthcoming.
There are many situations in which the relatives do not actually recognize the reconstruction, but acquaintances do. People who are not familiar with the way the person behaved.
This could be the body of someone you know. She was in her early 20s, petite, Caucasian, between 5 feet and 5 feet 4 inches tall with brown hair. She had a front tooth noticeably chipped on both edges and wore an unusual ring on her left hand. The Silent Witness program in Georgia is offering a $2,500 reward for information leading to the arrest and indictment of the person responsible for the death of young Jane Doe.
Behind every illustrated magazine cover, there is an artist. Norman Rockwell is probably the most famous of the American illustrators, and we all know that an original Rockwell painting is worth a small fortune. But recently, other magazine illustrators have caught the fancy of collectors, and today, the prices of those original works are beginning to soar.
Love and war, romance and adventure, family life, crime and passion, patriotism and devotion. These pictures from Charles Martinetti's collection are part of a once popular American art form that portrayed contemporary life in vivid, memorable images. Magazine cover illustrations from the 1920s through the 1950s told colorful stories from the lives of ordinary Americans. Kids on bicycles lassoing imaginary bad guys. Families gathering in the living room at Christmas. A scary moment at Halloween. It wasn't the way everybody lived, but it was the life America wished for itself. Serialized romances were perennially popular and offered endless stories of love, passion, jealousy, infidelity, and heartbreak. Arnold Sarnoff's paintings were popular with readers in the 50s for their romantic attitudes. Today, one of his originals may be worth $5,000 to a collector. There were dozens of movie magazines to fan the public's curiosity about their favorite celebrities. But the original cover art is hard to find. If you have one of these old canvases in your attic or garage, you can thank your lucky stars. It could be valued at $10,000. Greed, lust, crime, and murder came out of the shadows and onto the covers of hard-boiled detective magazines, luring readers into a world of danger. Today, the original artwork for the covers is coveted by collectors. And who would have thought anyone would want old advertisements? But collectors now comb the country for original canvases and are willing to pay $25,000 for Sheldon's Blonde Breck Shampoo Girl. Commercial illustration in America has never been considered art, even by the artists themselves. Once their paintings were used in the magazines, the originals became worthless. But today, these artworks could be worth a small fortune.
As a serious collector of American illustration, I'm interested in purchasing original paintings from 1920 through 1960 and would be willing to pay between $100,000 to $100,000 per piece.
Finding a job can be frustrating if you don't know where to look. Heritage Personnel needs qualified applicants for positions in the restaurant and hotel field. We have immediate openings available for responsible, hard-working people. Heritage Personnel is a leader in the hospitality industry. Most of our positions are not advertised. Employers hire us to find you, so you pay no fees for our services. If you need a job or are looking for a career advancement, let us job search for you. Call Heritage Personnel at 453-2383.
He thinks he could do that to me, and I won't tell anyone? Well, I am telling.
Here's startling secret confessions. Call 1-900-370-9200.
I'm too embarrassed to tell my best friend, but I've got to tell someone.
Listen in privacy to women sharing their innermost feelings. Call 1-900-370-9200.
I can't believe you're telling me this.
Secret confessions. Call 1-900-370-9200. $2 for the first minute, $1 for each additional minute for adults only.
Why call a crowded party line when you can talk one-on-one? Call 1-900-990-111. Talk to people from all over America. It's new, it's live, and it's one-on-one. Just $2 a minute. 1-900-990-111. Choose your fun. Call one-on-one. 1-900-990-111. You select other callers from your touch-tone phone. It's new, it's live, and it's one-on-one. Just $2 a minute. 1-900-990-111. Call now.
A giant truck sale now at Worthington Ford in Federal Way. These trucks on sale right now, and you get a 10-day truck exchange. Pick a truck, drive it 10 days, make sure you like it. An 88 Ford Ranger pickup, $39.95. 83 Chevy, a 3/4 ton with a camper, $49.95. An 84 Ford Bronco 2, a 4x4, $49.95. 86 Chevy S10 Blazer, a 4x4, $69.95. 88 Ford and F-150, $79.95, and 87 Suzuki Samurai, a 4x4, $39.95, and 84 Nissan, a King Cab 4x4, $49.95, and 85 Chevy S10 Blazer, a 4x4, $59.95, and 87 Toyota Pickup, a 4x4, $69.95, and 87 Jeep Cherokee, a 4x4, $79.95. We're having a giant truck sale. Remember, you get a 10-day truck exchange. Pick a truck, drive it 10 days, make sure you like it. It's Worthington Ford near the SeaTac Mall in Federal Way, open till 10 every day.
The people offering rewards in the stories you've just seen are counting on you to come forward. If you have information, or if you're interested in obtaining a booklet about additional rewards, call our 24-hour hotline, 1-900-860-0860.
Ernie Sturgis's family is offering a $15,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of his killer. There is a $2,500 reward for information that will solve this Georgia murder. But first, police need help identifying the victim. And a grand total of $1 million is available to missing reward viewers with original advertising art.
I'm Stacey Keach. Join me next week for another episode of Missing Reward. See you then.
Transportation for Missing Reward furnished by Travel Savers, the nation's leading chain of independent travel agencies. Consult your local directory for the Travel Savers agency nearest you. Travel Savers.
Bart and Homer explore the outdoors on their first camping trip that proves to be memorable. Tune in tomorrow at 8:30. But now stay tuned for Crime Stoppers 800.